Everyone has to make contacts and everyone has to network. And the most that you get out of your network is how your business is really going to go, right?
One key important thing is because you will know that who you're going to target to meet with.
So, hey, welcome back to episode 7 of EP Legal sales, marketing, and networking trainings that we've been doing. And today we have a different partner from EP Legal here. And, she's a personal friend of mine, and I love this lady, but she really is one of the most intelligent people you could ever talk to, and great at doing business and doing, obviously law-related stuff, legal-related stuff. So today we have Quinn Ann. How are you doing today, Quinn Ann?
Hi, Mars. I'm good. Hi, everyone. My name is Annie. Call me Annie in English name, and I'm managing partner of EP Legal.
I would argue that this is probably one of the most important things you can really do for any business, frankly, not even just for a law firm. But everyone has to make contacts and everyone has to network. And the most that you get out of your network is how your business is really going to go, right? Your network is your net worth. However much you're worth, it's coming from your network usually. So Quinn Ann, how important do you think it is to maintain a network and follow up with people and so forth?
Yeah, this is very critical for us as a legal service providers firm, because networking with people is making our business and our job. EP Legal, actually we didn't have so much connections few years ago, and we found out that one of our weakness is we don't have the good relationships or networking connections with the clients, because we have too much work inside the firm, so we don't spend time for networking. Later on, we realized that a lot of the pool of the clients are outside of what we know, and we need to focus on the strength or on the business that we have deep knowledge in. And we decide to participate in a lot of events with the different clients and different topics that we are interested in or we are good at that topic. So we start to go with several events, and we find out that there's a lot of new clients that we need to connect with. So we are now members of a lot of organizations such as AmCham, Eurocham, Italian Chams, also the Hong Kong Business Associations and Singapore Business Association as well, along with some institutions like VIAC in terms of arbitrations.
Most of your initial business comes from your existing referrals and your network, right? Now the problem is that always dries up because your existing network is a limited pool. So what really intelligent business owners do, I found over the years, that people that you don't know yet, having an absolutely positively ironclad system for meeting with them, not just collecting their information, but making sure you leverage their information in order to their connection information to follow up with them is key. And businesses will not survive. When the market's easy and everything's up, it's easy for any market. A bull market is very easy to do well in. But a bear market is another story altogether. You can tell the winners from the losers in a bear market. Whoever survives in a bear market, they're doing something that the other people aren't doing. So these are just some of the events we attend and host and so forth. And then the obvious reasons why post-event engagement matters. Obviously, it's to build relationships, and it's to solidify, like Quinn Ann said, your expertise. So people are very, very clear on what your expertise, what your area of expertise is, and to extend your reach. Obviously, in other words, to grow your network, essentially, to get further than you currently have inside of your existing network, and then to actually build your brand. Because even people who maybe don't talk to you, they hear about you from other people, or they just see you and your banners or whatever. They go check out your website because they meet you at an event. That's good enough, And then the thing that I think most people don't really think about is actually learning and development. In other words, when you meet somebody at an event, it's quick. You don't have a lot of time to really take a second to really learn and develop things. But when you follow people after an event and you actually get to know them and you see what their problems are and you see what they're doing to succeed, you learn so much. And so obviously you got to go to the event and you got to mingle like a pro. We call that, that's talking to people. You can't be a wallflower, right? You can't hide in the corner and hope for people to come up to you. You go and talk to as many people as you can. And it doesn't just say mingle, it says mingle like a pro. Mingle like a pro. Quinn Ann, talk to me about that. How do you determine who you should be talking to at an event? What's your strategy for actually picking who to spend your time with?
Actually, before we go to the event, we often look at the details of the event, the organizers, and who will be at that event. That is one key important thing because you will know that who you're gonna target to meet with, and from that person, you can ask or you can try to make the connections, and he or she may be the one who take you around to meet the right persons in the meeting. As now I'm trying to talk with as many people as I can, and for women it's a little bit different than men. Men is more social, but for ladies, and we are so not open like a man. So I often go with the lady first in my experience, and I try to connect.
One of my friends is a guy by the name of Joe Polish. You should look, if you're into networking, you should go look up Joe Polish. I learned this from Joe Polish and a lady by the name of Allie Brown. Allie Brown is a women's business coach, and Allie explained something to me very, very important. And Joe basically said he agreed with what she told me, which is women tend to be a little bit more shy on the front side because they don't want to seem too presumptuous or too pushy or something like this. But on the back side, in the follow through, they tend to actually do better. Men will talk to everybody and then follow up with almost no one, or maybe they'll follow up with one or two or three people. But women tend to actually nurture their networks a little better. They do their follow-up a little better. Because again, I know for a fact, even inside of VP Legal, I know that Linan and Lynn, the two female partners, are much better at following up after the fact. And whereas Tony, he's great at talking to everybody, but he doesn't quite follow up with as many people after the fact. That's why we built this system. And that has everything to do with sort of like maybe fearlessness or boldness of the masculine versus the feminine. But I find that as long as a woman does what you say, Quinan, like somebody who's a little bit more shy, it doesn't have to be a woman, but if they find the person who can insert them into the network to help them mingle like a pro, right? So number two is gathering, contact information, business cards and so forth, right? So you have to make sure that you don't just talk to people. You actually get their information so that you have a way to actively follow up. That goes without saying. That one doesn't need a lot of commentary. But Quinan, do you have anything you want to say about how you go about do you ask for a person's card, or do you prefer to give them your card first? What's your approach with actually gathering their contact information, business cards and so forth?
It can be either way. Actually, with me, when I reach out to a certain person, then I introduce myself. I present my name card to them and tell them who am I and what we are doing. And also, I will ask them back for the name card. Then we exchange the informations. And the more we talk, the more we can engage. And normally for one event, I collect around 15 to 20 business cards. When I get back to the office, then I analyze everything again, and which people I talk and which topic we talk about, and then I will separate them in different group of people who are really have the common sense with us and in similar field or in similar interest with us. So we try to gather at the beginning as many business cards as we can, and the second one is we will separate them and we'll see how we can follow up with them after the event and connect with them.
So this part goes into step number 3, which is basically what we call putting people into buckets. In other words, you got some people that you're for sure you want to follow up with, some people that you're for sure you don't really need to have a meeting with. I would say some people you're sure you probably want to have a meeting with, and some people you don't need to have a meeting with. And then there's some people that are sort of in the middle. And then number 4 is follow-up communications. We have a set process that we use where we follow up with email, and then we also follow through. So there's follow-up and then there's follow-through. And follow-through is about going and looking them up, typically on LinkedIn, but whatever social media platforms you work and that you're on can be this sort of follow-through. So you want to send them a connection request and say, hey, we met at the event, and and usually we send this in the email too. We'll send a LinkedIn our LinkedIn profile as part of the email. Say, hey, make sure I'm sending you a connection request. Make sure you accept my connection request. So that's follow up and follow through. And then finally is actually scheduling the meetings. Okay. In other words, it doesn't do anything if you don't schedule as many real meetings and make it something valuable for the other person.
When we send out the email to them, we often reintroduce about us. Why do we meet such person in the meeting, and how do I want to follow up to be further either in corporations in terms of business or in terms of personal connection, because we see some comments and we want to explore further opportunities to each other. And surprisingly, a lot of our network connections, they often like, reply back to us, and then they also asking us like to have like private meeting or further meeting either on Zoom or in person, so that we can following up and have more discussions to see how we can work together or have any like opportunity to share to each other. And exactly this morning, I also have another follow up with the client, and I have the coffee with such a guy, and it's really good that we can get seminar later on in-house seminar with such company, and it's a good chance for us to like talk with all the like in-house lawyers over there about like what we're doing on a specific topic that we want to focus on and to fit the needs from that clients.
So what's important about this are the real numbers. The truth is, let's just use the number 100. Okay, let's just say Quinan and another partner went to an event and all together collected 100 business cards. The reality is, even though we follow up with, in one way or another, we try to follow up with all of them, still only about 1 out of 4, maybe 25 of those 100 people, maybe 30, is actually going to respond. Now you might think, wow, that means 3 out of 4 people didn't respond. That's true. Okay, that's true. At that moment, they didn't respond. However, we did send them the message. Some of them read it and maybe didn't have time to respond or thought that they didn't need it now, but still 3 out of 4 people will not respond. That's the truth of the numbers. Only 1 out of 4 will actually respond, and maybe half of those you might get a meeting with. So that's maybe 8. So that's 1 out of every 8 that you actually get a meeting with. But still, so many people know you, and they begin to form a relationship with you, even if it's just the beginning of the relationship. It's very important to understand that none of it really goes to waste, and it's just a good habit to be in. So what I want to do right now is, obviously we have to get correct information, make sure your information is correct on your card, make sure that your business card clearly says what you do and talks about what your value proposition is and what differentiates you from other competitors, right? Because you want somebody to look at your card and understand pretty much exactly what you do. So you want to make sure that you give accurate names, accurate email addresses, phone numbers, and other relevant details. I wanted to talk about that before I go into the buckets. But the buckets is sort of like the most important thing that we can even talk about, because I think what happens is most of the time people only follow up with people that they sort of consider to be in bucket 1, meaning they know they want a meeting with them for sure, and it could possibly be very likely that it could be the business. That's fine, but that's a mistake, okay? That would be like only eating protein, not eating any fats, not eating any carbohydrates. If you want to really improve your statistical odds of having a great network that turns into as much business as possible, you absolutely, positively have to think about it in terms of at least 3 different buckets. The definite meetings, for sure we want a meeting with this person. The possible meetings, okay? And then we know we don't want to have a meeting with this person, but at least say thank you to them. So the difference in you, your business, and your reputation, and ultimately your brand, and most other people will be those number 3s who you think will never ever lead to business. They'll be most of the people that you talk to. Probably 70% of them will be people that you're just like, nah, I know I don't have to have a meeting, but you know what? Over the course of a year, what you'll find out is if you follow up with just send them a, hey, thank you, it was nice meeting you. I really enjoyed meeting you. I don't need anything from you. If you ever need anything from me, just let me know. I just wanted to say thanks. It was nice to meet you.
I think all 3 buckets are important to us now as we are in the service provider field. So even we separate in different like bucket 1, 2, or 3. But the good things is we should connect with everyone. It is the best chance for you, because like each person they have different relationship. Each person they have different like priorities or concerns. And one day, if you remember you in their mind, then they will like refer to someone who needs the service from you. And the example that I can give to you is exactly this morning meeting. When I talk to the person, how do you engage us at the beginning? Actually, we have that contract like 3 years ago, and the client was so happy, but then we lost the connections, and today we reunion and reconnect with them. And I asked him the questions, how did you find us before? And why do you decide to sign the contract with EP Legal? And he said that I got the referral from one of my friends, which I don't know who is such friend yet. But he said that the person who gave it to me is the one who met you, and they know that you are like working in that area. You are in the like energy and power firm, and you are good in marine survey project. So when we have the dispute, I think that your firm is a good one. And at that time, when they decide to pick EP Legal, we are not in the list of their like international vendor list yet. But they review our profiles, and they know that like this company is quite an experienced company in the maritime field. So they submit to their headquarters in the US, and the US people, they look at us and they review our website and business profiles. So they think that we are good at, and they decide, because at that time they don't have much time to like find out more legal firms, because the dispute is happened already. So they decide to go with the firm that they got the referrals, and they know that like someone who refer to them EP Legal is a good firm in terms of like maritime service. So they decide to pick us and do the contract with us. This is the real story that just happened this morning when I asked them why do they choose us at the beginning, but we didn't know the client before. So for me, all people you meet are like equally important, because they are like have different connections, they have different relationship, and they will be like important to some other who like they can refer to us. So if they know you, if they realize you, and they will like make the referrals to you, it's really good for you. And not just only like the bucket 1, 2 or 3, because 1 is definitely we need from them. So we decide to like move forward and like do more active work rather than the bucket 2 or bucket 3.
Out of 100 contacts, okay, if you end up following up with those, like most people do, with let's say 10 of the 100 who are in bucket 1, okay, let's say approximately maybe 2 of them will end up leading to business, maybe 3 out of the 10 that you actually follow up with and you try and get a meeting with, because half of them you'll never get a meeting with, and then that leaves you 5, and then only 1 or 2 of them will actually need business. That's good though, because if you're just doing that every week, that'll keep your business in business. Bucket 2, the numbers are slightly different than that, meaning like if you follow up, obviously there's more than 10 of them that go into that bucket. So let's say in that bucket you put 20 people, okay? Most of them aren't gonna want your services because they're very unlikely to, but a certain portion of them will. So if you figure you follow up with 20, and probably maybe 1 out of 10, maybe, or 1 out of 20 will lead to business. But that's about the same number as the ones in bucket 1. So that leaves you about 70 people in bucket 3. So you say to yourself, well, they can't be as important. So bucket 1 and bucket 2 are equally important mathematically, okay? Bucket 3, what's interesting about it is you'll find that out of those 70 people, you'll end up with 1 or 2 jobs. That means, because it's 70, that means 68 of them never led to business. But 1 or 2 of them will refer you or actually hire you at some point that you might not realize that they need you, and it will lead to work. So out of bucket 1, you get about 1 or 2 jobs. Out of bucket 2, since there's more of them, you get 1, maybe 2 jobs. Out of bucket 3, you get 1 or 2 jobs. So let's talk about how we actually connect with people via email and LinkedIn. Okay. First of all, you have to be specific and what you call referential. In other words, referring to certain things. Like what I do, and Quinn, I'll let you talk about this. What I do when I network is I will make sure I have a general thing that I say about what I do to everybody. So I try to make a very specific thing related to that person, and then when I give my person who handles my follow-up the information, I refer to that. In other words, I say, we talked about thing XYZ, something very specific to them. So they don't feel like it's a form letter follow-up. In other words, it's not the same message to everybody else. There's one portion of my follow-up message that's very specific to whoever I talk to. That's one of the reasons why I try to follow up. I try to record my contact connections immediately after the event so that I don't forget. Expressing an interest and some sort of intention is really, really important as well. What that means is it's not just a general, hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. It's literally, hey, if you have any problems or if you have anything that you need help with related to whatever your service or your solution is, you want to actually say that. Okay, that's very important. Okay, personalize the message. That comes back to specific and referential. And then keeping it concise. I try to keep things under 3 short paragraphs whenever I'm sending somebody a message. And it's funny because my follow-up, the team that does my follow-up, they're good, but they still always make things too long, and I always have to remind them to keep it concise and professional, warm and precise. So, but Quinn, I'll let you talk through your thoughts on how you connect when you message with people, because everybody sort of has their different styles?
Normally, I will either contact by LinkedIn or email, like you said, Mas. And whatever you just put into the slide is exactly what we need to do, because like we have to value their time as well. We don't try to like say much in the email, but we focus on some key point, that how did we meet each other and what interests that we share. So the content of the email should be very concise and in the professional way, that we really want to talk about business and we want to have good connections, and we have something in common with each other, which we want to express in the email or LinkedIn message to them.
So we're almost to the end now, and what we're really doing is talking about step 5, which this is actually setting up meetings, scheduling real meetings. First, obviously, number 1, you're going to monitor for responses for people in bucket 1 and bucket 2, right? The ones that you want or possibly want a meeting with. Second, you're going to obviously prioritize, bucket 1 people. Okay, people who are in bucket 1 get priority because they're very likely to lead the business. So that's why step 3. If you don't get a response, you try your alternative channels, especially if they're in bucket 1 or bucket 2, but mostly bucket 1. If somebody's in bucket 1, you can't assume that you can just fire them off an email and just hope that they'll respond. Because either A, they're busy, they might have seen it and want to respond, but then they forgot and it ends up out of their inbox. So you want to actively follow up with them in your alternate channels, which is, LinkedIn or text message or whatever depending upon how you met them and how they told you to contact them. And then number 4 is you schedule meetings based on their response. Quinn, what do you think about this when it comes to scheduling real meetings? Any thoughts?
Now from EP Legal, we also require all of our staff to make the following up or to go to the events. So we have the pool of everyone that we may need, and we start to follow up. It means that not only partners doing the networking or post-event follow-up, it's all the staff of the company, and it's the KPI for them as well. So they also need to go and do more networking events so that we can have more connections and more follow-up before we set up the real meetings later. So in the real meetings with the clients or with the people that we meet, we set up via Zoom meeting or in-person meetings. And in the meetings, we can talk in details of the program or of the area of practice that we do, some case analysis that we have, and some experience that we have encounters and we go along with. And when the clients give us back the information, we can discover and explore more by question and answers. So we know what they do and how we can keep working with them. And by that way, we build up the stronger relationship rather than just event and people meeting. So if we provide some value-added service or something that we are strong, and we see that the clients or the other side is in weakness, then we share and we start to coaching them on that area so that they can improve the business as well. That is what really happened in the real meeting. I always give them further interest or further values that they may need.
What Conan's saying is, okay, so you go into the meeting, you actually got the meeting with the person, and maybe there's no immediate business to do with it, okay? But the feeling that you want them to walk away with is the same feeling that we all want to have when we walk away with something. And I know this is Quinan's spirit, right? It's the reason why I love her. It's the reason why I work with her, okay? When you meet Quinan, you walk away from the meeting with her, whether it's a business meeting or a personal meeting, like when we have dinner with her. You walk away feeling better, like something valuable happened, like you got something better in your life, right? What I always do, any good people who are really going to keep their word and be good at business and good at life, they're going to care whether or not the other person is actually honest and generous and caring. That was a nugget, Quinan. I just want to throw that out. That was a great one to end on. Yeah, we're at the end now. So I think, Quinan, I'll let you close it out. Obviously, if you're watching this, make sure that depending upon if you're watching it on LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever, you subscribe, follow, connect, etc., Facebook, wherever you're seeing this at. Quinan, I'll let you have the last word. And this has been a great interview. I'm so happy that we got a chance to do this one together.
Thank you, Mas, and thank you everyone who watching the video from us.